Lil Wayne's story begins in the heart of New Orleans, Louisiana, where the rich culture of jazz, bounce, and blues intertwined with the everyday struggles of living in a tough neighborhood. Born on September 27, 1982, as Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., he grew up in Hollygrove, one of the city's most violent areas. Raised primarily by his mother, Jacita Carter, who worked as a cook, Wayne's early years were marked by poverty and the challenges of single-parent life. His father abandoned the family when Wayne was just 2 years old, leaving Jacita to raise him alone. Despite the hardships, she nurtured his creativity and encouraged him to pursue his passions. Music was always a constant presence in Wayne's life. From a young age, he absorbed the sounds of New Orleans, where local bounce music was as much a part of the landscape as the bustling streets in the Mississippi River. Wayne's early exposure to this unique blend of Southern hip-hop laid the foundation for what would become his future. His mother's love for rhythm and blues also left an imprint, as she played artists like Al Green and Marvin Gaye, introducing young Wayne to a world beyond his immediate surroundings. Music became more than just an escape, it was his future. Wayne's love for words was evident even in his childhood. By the time he was 8, he was writing his own rhymes, pouring his thoughts and experiences into verses. His teachers noticed his talent and passion for language, which set him apart from other kids. But Wayne wasn't just writing for fun, he was serious about his craft, and he was determined to be heard. At the age of 9, fate intervened when Wayne met Brian Birdman Williams, co-founder of Cash Money Records. Birdman, a prominent figure in New Orleans' emerging hip-hop scene, was on the lookout for fresh talent to add to his label. Wayne, eager to seize any opportunity, impressed Birdman with his raw talent and relentless ambition. This meeting would become a pivotal moment in Wayne's life, marking the beginning of his professional journey into music. Birdman became a mentor and, over time, a father figure for Wayne, filling the void left by his biological father. Recognizing Wayne's potential, Birdman brought him into the Cash Money family, where Wayne started honing his skills. The bond between Birdman and Lil Wayne would shape much of his early career. And while their relationship would later face its share of turmoil, in those early days, it was the key to Wayne's rise. By the time he was 11, Wayne had already started recording, though his first steps into the industry weren't without their challenges. His first recording session didn't lead to immediate success, but that didn't deter him. He kept writing, practicing, and immersing himself in the world of hip-hop. He wasn't just looking for fame, he wanted to be the best. That drive set Wayne apart from other kids his age, and his relentless work ethic would later become one of the hallmarks of his career. At age 14, Lil Wayne joined a group called the Hot Boys, which consisted of other young rappers from Cash Money Records, Juvenile Turk, and BG. The Hot Boys were a reflection of the time's young, raw, and unpolished, but with undeniable talent. The group became an underground sensation, and their success on the Southern rap scene helped shine a light on Cash Money Records as a major player in hip-hop. With Wayne being the youngest in the group, he had something to prove, not just to his peers, but to the industry at large. He wasn't content with being just another rapper in a group, he wanted to stand out. As the Hot Boys gained momentum, Wayne's star began to rise. He stood out with his unique voice and sharp delivery, capturing the attention of fans and critics alike. The Hot Boys album, Get It How You Live, released in 1997, showcased Wayne's early potential, with his contributions hinting at the greatness that was yet to come. The success of the group laid the groundwork for Wayne's solo career, but it also introduced him to the ups and downs of fame. While the Hot Boys were gaining recognition, Wayne was still just a teenager, trying to balance his rising fame with the realities of growing up in a challenging environment. His determination and work ethic were paying off, but with success came the pressure to grow up quickly. While other teenagers were navigating high school, Wayne was navigating the music industry. The fast pace of his career, coupled with the complexities of his personal life, would later define much of his journey as an artist. But even at this early stage, Wayne's goal was clear: to be recognized as one of the greatest in hip-hop. By the time Wayne was ready to release his first solo album, The Block Is Hot, in 1999, the stage was set for him to break out as a solo artist. The album, driven by its title track, was an instant success, going platinum and solidifying Lil Wayne's place as a rising star in hip-hop. He wasn't just a promising talent anymore, he was a force to be reckoned with. This early success was only the beginning. As Lil Wayne entered the next phase of his career, he was no longer the wide-eyed kid from New Orleans. He had tasted fame, but he wanted more. The pressure was mounting, but Wayne's hunger for greatness was stronger than ever. With the release of his debut solo album The Block Is Hot in 1999, Lil Wayne was officially on the radar of the hip-hop world. At just 17 years old, he had already achieved what many artists spend years working toward: a platinum album. The Block Is Hot was a commercial success, debuting at No. 3 on the Billboard 200 chart and solidifying Wayne's place as one of the most promising young rappers in the game. The album's title track, which became a street anthem, showcased Wayne's talent for blending raw lyricism with catchy hooks, drawing attention to his unique voice and delivery. Produced primarily by Manny Fresh, The Block Is Hot carried the signature Cash Money sound that had been dominating the southern rap scene. The heavy use of 808s, bouncy beats, and infectious rhythms was a perfect backdrop for Wayne's gritty, youthful rhymes. On the album, Wayne rapped about the realities of growing up in New Orleans, touching on themes of poverty, violence, and survival. His words resonated with listeners, particularly those who had grown up in similar circumstances. Wayne wasn't just rapping for the sake of it, he was telling the story of his life and the lives of those around him. But while The Block Is Hot propelled Wayne to stardom, it also came with its own set of challenges. Wayne had to navigate the pressures of being a young star in an industry that wasn't always kind to newcomers. He found himself balancing his teenage years with the responsibilities that came with fame. Unlike most kids his age who were finishing high school and preparing for college, Wayne was already dealing with the demands of the music industry, including constant touring, media appearances, and recording sessions. At the same time, Wayne's relationship with Cash Money Records and Birdman was evolving. Birdman, who had acted as a father figure to Wayne, continued to guide his career, but as Wayne's star rose, so did the complexities of their partnership. There were growing pains as Wayne transitioned from a young prodigy to a bona fide rap star. Despite the pressures, Wayne remained focused on his craft. His work ethic was unmatched, and he was determined to continue proving himself as an artist. While The Block Is Hot was a major commercial success, it wasn't necessarily a critical one. Some critics felt that the album lacked the depth and maturity that would come to define Wayne's later work. But for a 17-year-old just beginning to make his mark on the industry, The Block Is Hot was a strong debut that laid the groundwork for what was to come. Wayne's raw talent was evident, and he had the potential to evolve into one of the most important voices in hip-hop. After the success of his debut, Wayne quickly got to work on his next projects. He released 2 more albums in rapid succession: Lights Out in 2000 and 500 Degrees in 2002. Both albums were commercially successful, continuing to build Wayne's reputation as a force in southern rap. However, neither album reached the heights of his debut, and Wayne began to realize that in order to truly stand out in the industry, he would need to evolve his sound and his image. During this time, Wayne's personal life also became more complicated. He had his first child, Reginae Carter, at the age of 16, and while he loved being a father, balancing his career with parenthood wasn't easy. Wayne's lifestyle was fast-paced, and the pressures of fame were mounting. But despite these challenges, he remained focused on his goal of becoming one of the greatest rappers of all time. It was during this period that Wayne began to experiment more with his lyrical style and musical influences. While his early work had been heavily shaped by the Cash Money sound, Wayne started to branch out, exploring new styles and pushing the boundaries of what southern rap could be. He began to develop a more complex, introspective lyrical approach, moving beyond the street anthems that had defined his earlier work. Wayne's evolution as an artist was just beginning, and it would soon lead to the next major chapter of his career. In 2004, Lil Wayne released A Carter, the first in what would become one of the most iconic album series in hip-hop history. The Carter represented a turning point in Wayne's career. He was no longer just a teenage rapper from New Orleans. He had matured both as an artist and as a person, and The Carter showcased that growth. The album was critically acclaimed, with many praising Wayne's newfound lyrical depth and his ability to craft complex, multi-layered verses. One of the standout tracks from The Carter was Go DJ, produced by Manny Fresh. The song became a massive hit, reaching the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 and becoming one of Wayne's signature tracks. Go DJ was a celebration of Wayne's journey from a young hot boy to a solo superstar, and it marked the beginning of his ascent to the upper echelons of hip-hop. Wayne's success with The Carter wasn't just about the numbers, it was about the respect he was gaining from his peers and critics alike. He was no longer seen as just a part of the Cash Money machine, he was a standalone artist with a voice and a vision. Wayne's evolution was far from complete, But with the Carter, he had taken a major step towards cementing his legacy. As Wayne entered the next phase of his career, he was more focused than ever. The lessons he had learned from his early years, both the triumphs and the struggles, had shaped him into an artist who was willing to push boundaries and challenge expectations. His ambition was clear. Lil Wayne wasn't just aiming to be a star, he was aiming to be the best rapper alive. By the mid-2000s, Lil Wayne was at a critical point in his career. He had already made a name for himself with his early albums, and his star was rising fast. But in 2004, when he released The Carter, things began to change. The Carter wasn't just an album, it was a statement. It signaled Wayne's growth as an artist, a shift from a southern rap sensation to a lyricist who was ready to take on the world. The album's success, especially the hit single Go DJ, showed that Wayne was no longer just a kid from New Orleans trying to break through. He was someone who had truly arrived. But Wayne wasn't satisfied with just being successful. He wanted more. He wanted to be known as the greatest rapper alive, and to do that, he knew he had to evolve. This was evident with his next album, The Carter I released in 2005. To Carter I was a massive leap forward for Wayne, both in terms of his lyrical ability and the production behind it. Gone were the heavy beats of Manny Fresh, who had helped define Cash Money's sound. Instead, Wayne took control of his music, working with a new set of producers and showcasing his growth as an artist. The album was filled with hits like Fireman and Hustler music tracks that demonstrated Wayne's ability to balance catchy hooks with introspective lyrics. On T. Carter I, Wayne explored themes of success, street life, and ambition, but with a depth and complexity that hadn't been fully realized on his previous work. He had refined his flow, sharpened his wordplay, and was beginning to experiment with more complex rhyme schemes. Critics praised the album, and Wayne began to earn recognition as one of the most skilled lyricists in the game. But what really set Wayne apart during this period was his relentless work ethic. He wasn't just putting out albums, he was flooding the streets with music. Between 2005 and 2008, Wayne released a series of mixtapes that would go on to define his legacy. The Dedication and D.A. Drought mixtape series were a game changer, not just for Wayne, but for the entire hip-hop industry. These mixtapes weren't just throwaway tracks, they were full projects featuring some of Wayne's best work. Wayne's ability to churn out high-quality music at a rapid pace earned him the title of Mixtape King, and he became known for his ability to outwork just about anyone in the industry. These mixtapes allowed Wayne to experiment with his sound, test out new flows, and flex his lyrical muscles. They also helped him build a deeper connection with his fan base. Wayne's fans weren't just casual listeners, they were devoted. They followed every release, dissected every line, and eagerly awaited his next move. Wayne wasn't just a rapper, he had become a phenomenon. Wayne's prolific mixtape run wasn't just about quantity, it was about quality. Tracks like Cannon from Dedication 2 and Upgrade You from D.A. Drought 3 showcased Wayne at his peak, spitting verses that were both clever and complex. His punchlines were sharp, his metaphors layered, and his confidence undeniable. Wayne had reached a level where he didn't just want to be great, he wanted everyone to know it. Wayne's dominance in the mixtape circuit laid the foundation for what would come next. To Carter, arguably the most important album of his career. Released in 2008, The Carter I was a culmination of everything Wayne had been working toward. It wasn't just an album, it was a cultural moment. The lead single, Lollipop, was an immediate smash hit, topping the Billboard Hot 100 and introducing Wayne to a whole new audience. The track's use of auto-tune and its melodic hook were a departure from Wayne's typical sound, but it showed his willingness to experiment and push boundaries. But Carter I wasn't just about radio hits. Tracks like A Milli and Mr. Carter showcased Wayne's lyrical prowess and cemented his status as one of the greatest rappers of his generation. A Milli, in particular, became an anthem, with Wayne delivering rapid-fire bars over a minimalistic beat, proving that he could still dominate the streets even while crossing over into mainstream success. The success of The Carter I was staggering. The album sold over 1 million copies in its first week, a feat that was virtually unheard of in the digital age. Wayne had officially reached the pinnacle of the industry, earning multiple Grammy Awards, including Best Rap Album. He had achieved what he had set out to do. He was now the greatest rapper alive, and everyone knew it. But even as Wayne reached new heights, he continued to build for the future. Around this time, he began focusing more on his role as an executive, building up his Young Money Entertainment label. Wayne had always been someone who believed in helping others, and with Young Money he began shaping the next generation of hip-hop stars. Two of his most significant protégés were Drake and Nicki Minaj, both of whom would go on to become megastars in their own right. Wayne's ability to spot talent and help nurture it only added to his legacy. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a mogul, someone who was shaping the future of the industry. His willingness to collaborate with younger artists, as well as his openness to new sounds and ideas, ensured that he remained relevant, even as the landscape of hip-hop continued to evolve. As Wayne's influence continued to grow, so did the pressures of fame. His lifestyle, which included heavy drug use, began to take a toll on his health. But despite the personal challenges, Wayne's work ethic never faltered. He was determined to keep pushing forward, both as an artist and as a leader in the industry. By the end of the 2000s, Wayne had firmly established himself as not only one of the greatest rappers of all time, but also one of the most influential figures in hip-hop. His journey from the streets of New Orleans to the top of the music world was a testament to his talent, determination, and relentless drive. But even as he stood at the peak of his career, Wayne knew that the journey was far from over. By the time that Carter I dropped in 2008, Lil Wayne was undeniably at the top of the rap game. The album's success transcended hip-hop, making Wayne a household name. But beyond the platinum plaques, Grammy Awards, and radio hits, what the Carter I really represented was Wayne's cultural impact. He wasn't just a rapper anymore, he had become a symbol of artistic evolution, work ethic, and boundary-pushing creativity. Wayne's influence wasn't limited to his own music, his fingerprints were all over the industry. One of the most significant ways Wayne extended his influence was through Young Money Entertainment, his record label. Founded in 2005, Young Money wasn't just a vanity project, it became one of the most influential labels in the 2010s. Wayne's eye for talent was proven when he signed Drake and Nicki Minaj, two artists who would go on to define the next era of hip-hop and pop music. Under Wayne's mentorship, Drake and Nicki both rose to superstardom, each carving out their own unique lanes while paying homage to the man who helped them get there. Drake, with his introspective, emotionally raw lyrics, became one of the biggest names in music, while Nicki's genre-defying style and larger-than-life persona made her a cultural icon in her own right. Wayne's ability to mentor and cultivate talent proved that he wasn't just focused on his own legacy, he was shaping the future of hip-hop as a whole. Young Money wasn't just a label, it was a movement, a family of artists who were pushing the boundaries of what rap could be. While Wayne's role as a mentor and executive was flourishing, he still faced significant personal and legal challenges. One of the biggest hurdles came in 2010 when Wayne was sentenced to a year in prison after being convicted of gun possession. The charges stemmed from a 2007 incident in which police found a loaded firearm on Wayne's tour bus. For an artist who had spent the past few years at the top of the charts, the idea of going to prison was a major blow. But Wayne, always resilient, made sure his career didn't miss a beat. Before heading to Rikers Island, Wayne recorded a massive amount of material to keep his presence felt during his absence. His album I Am Not a Human Being was released while he was still incarcerated, and it debuted at No. 2 on the Billboard 200, eventually reaching No. 1. The album's success proved that even prison couldn't slow Wayne down. His fans remained loyal, and his music continued to dominate the charts. Wayne's time in prison, though, wasn't without its challenges. In his memoir Gone Till November, he opened up about the difficulties of being behind bars, from isolation to missing his children. But even in this tough situation, Wayne found ways to stay connected to his music and his fans. He kept writing, and his letters and reflections from prison gave insight into his mindset during one of the most difficult periods of his life. Despite these personal setbacks, Wayne's influence on the culture only grew. His style, whether it was his offbeat fashion sense, his heavily tattooed body, or his infamous face piercings, became iconic. Rappers from all over the world began to emulate his sound, his swagger, and his willingness to experiment with auto-tune and unconventional flows. Wayne had helped bridge the gap between traditional hip-hop and the more melodic, genre-blurring style that would dominate in the 2010s. After his release from prison in 2011, Wayne wasted no time getting back to work. He dropped a Carter IV later that year, and although it didn't have the same groundbreaking impact as its predecessor, it was still a commercial success. The album debuted at No. 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold nearly 1 million copies in its first week. Tracks like 6 Foot, 7 Foot, and she will reminded fans that Wayne was still at the top of his game, delivering clever wordplay and memorable hooks. However, behind the scenes, tensions were brewing between Wayne and his longtime label, Cash Money Records. Wayne's relationship with Birdman, the man who had been like a father to him since he was a child, began to deteriorate. The crux of the issue was the delayed release of De Carter V. Wayne had completed the album, but Cash Money was refusing to release it, leading to a public falling out between Wayne and Birdman. In 2014, Wayne took to Twitter to express his frustrations, stating that he wanted off Cash Money and blaming Birdman for holding his album hostage. What had once been one of the strongest partnerships in hip-hop had turned into a bitter feud. Wayne filed a $51 million lawsuit against Birdman and Cash Money, seeking to sever ties and gain control of his long-delayed project. The legal battle dragged on for years, leaving fans wondering if the Carter V would ever see the light of day. During this tumultuous period, Wayne's health also became a concern. He suffered from a series of seizures, which were widely reported in the media. The seizures were linked to Wayne's heavy consumption of lean, a combination of prescription cough syrup and soda that had become a notorious part of hip-hop culture. While Wayne had been open about his drug use in the past, the severity of his health issues raised alarms. Fans and industry insiders alike worried about the toll Wayne's lifestyle was taking on his body. But despite these challenges, both legal and personal, Wayne remained determined to keep moving forward. He continued to release music, collaborate with other artists, and perform for his fans. His resilience in the face of adversity only added to his legend. Wayne wasn't just a rapper, he was a survivor, someone who had weathered the ups and downs of fame, fortune, and personal struggles. By the mid-2010s, Wayne's influence on the next generation of rappers was undeniable. Artists like Young Thug, Travis Scott, and Lil Uzi Vert were openly inspired by Wayne's experimental flows, his genre-blurring approach to music, and his fearless attitude. Even as he battled legal disputes and health scares, Wayne's legacy continued to grow. The question on everyone's mind, though, remained, when would De Carter V finally be released? Fans had been waiting for years, and the hype surrounding the album only intensified as the legal battle with Cash Money dragged on. When Lil Wayne was finally released from prison in 2011, fans eagerly anticipated what the future would hold for the artist who had already conquered the rap world. Despite the personal and legal challenges he had faced, Wayne remained laser-focused on his career. His release from prison marked the beginning of his comeback, and his first major post-prison album, The Carter IV, showed that he hadn't lost his touch. The Carter IV, released in August 2011, was a commercial success. It debuted at No. 1 on the Billboard 200 and sold nearly 1 million copies in its first week, proving that Wayne's fan base was as loyal as ever. Songs like 6 Foot, 7 Foot, and John became instant hits, with Wayne delivering the clever wordplay, high-energy flows, and catchy hooks that had come to define his sound. Although the album didn't quite reach the groundbreaking level of the Carter it solidified Wayne's place as one of the top rappers in the game. But while Wayne's music career was back on track, his personal life and his relationship with Cash Money Records were increasingly complicated. The years following his release were marked by tension between Wayne and Birdman, as the delayed release of De Carter V strained their relationship. Wayne's frustration was made public in 2014 when he tweeted about wanting to leave Cash Money, accusing the label of holding his album hostage. For fans, this was a shocking development. The mentor-student bond between Birdman and Wayne had been one of the strongest partnerships in hip-hop, but now it seemed irreparably damaged. The lawsuit Wayne filed against Cash Money in 2015 for $51 million signaled just how serious the fallout had become. Wayne wasn't just fighting for his album, he was fighting for his independence. The legal battle dragged on for years, leaving De Carter V in limbo and fans wondering if it would ever be released. This delay was more than just a business dispute for Wayne. The Carter V was a deeply personal project, one that symbolized his growth as an artist and as a person. Despite the ongoing feud with Cash Money, Wayne continued to release music, both in the form of mixtapes and collaborative projects. He dropped Sorry for the Wait 2 in 2015, a project that addressed his frustration with the label situation. Wayne used the mixtape as a platform to express his anger, with tracks like Coco taking direct shots at Cash Money and Birdman. It was clear that Wayne wasn't going to sit back quietly. He was determined to make his voice heard, both through his legal battles and through his music. During this period, Wayne also faced significant health challenges. In 2016, he suffered multiple seizures, which were reportedly linked to his heavy use of lean. Wayne had been open about his drug use for years, and his health struggles raised concerns about the long-term effects of his lifestyle. Fans and those close to Wayne feared for his well-being, but despite these challenges, Wayne continued to push forward. He remained resilient, determined to keep creating and performing, even as his body showed signs of wear and tear. For years, the Carter V remained in limbo. Fans continued to wait, the hype around the album building with each passing year. For Wayne, the delayed release was more than just a business setback, it was a personal and artistic struggle. But finally, in 2018, the legal battle with Cash Money came to an end. Wayne reached a settlement with Birdman, which allowed him to release the Carter V on his own terms through his Young Money label. The release of the Carter V in September 2018 was nothing short of a cultural event. Fans who had been waiting for years to hear the project were not disappointed. The album was an introspective, personal reflection on Wayne's life, filled with moments of vulnerability, triumph, and reflection. Songs like Let It Fly and Mona Lisa, featuring Kendrick Lamar, showcase Wayne's lyrical prowess, while tracks like Don't Cry, featuring the late XXXTentacion, reflected on themes of loss and resilience. The Carter V was not just a return to form, it was a reminder of Wayne's enduring legacy. The album debuted at No. 1 on the Billboard 200, making it his fourth chart-topping project. It was a triumphant moment for Wayne, marking the end of years of legal battles and personal struggles. But more importantly, it was proof that Wayne's influence on the culture was as strong as ever. While the Carter V was a major milestone, it was also a reflection of Wayne's journey from a young prodigy to a rap legend. The album was deeply personal, touching on themes of fatherhood, loyalty, betrayal, and perseverance. Wayne's ability to be vulnerable while still delivering hard-hitting bars showed just how much he had grown as an artist. At the same time, Wayne's legacy continued to influence the next generation of rappers. Artists like Young Thug, Travis Scott, Lil Uzi Vert, and many others openly cited Wayne as one of their biggest inspirations. His willingness to experiment with auto-tune, his boundary-pushing lyrics, and his genre-defying approach to music had left an indelible mark on hip-hop. Even as the genre evolved, Wayne's fingerprints were everywhere, from the melodic flows that dominated the charts to the stylistic choices of a new generation of artists. Wayne's ability to mentor other artists like Drake and Nicki Minaj had also cemented his status as a visionary in the industry. Both Drake and Nicki had become superstars in their own right, and they often credited Wayne with helping them navigate the industry and develop their own unique styles. In many ways, Wayne's legacy wasn't just about his own music, it was about the lasting impact he had on the entire culture of hip-hop. As Wayne entered the 2020s, his career showed no signs of slowing down. He continued to release music, collaborate with other artists, and tour the world. For an artist who had already achieved so much, Wayne's hunger for greatness remained as strong as ever. And while his health struggles and personal challenges were still part of his journey, Wayne's resilience and determination had made him a symbol of perseverance in the face of adversity. As Lil Wayne entered the 2020s, it became clear that his legacy was not just secure, it was still growing. While many artists fade after a few years in the spotlight, Wayne's ability to reinvent himself, adapt to new sounds, and continue pushing boundaries had kept him relevant for over 2 decades. His influence was everywhere, seen in the music, fashion, and attitudes of a younger generation of artists. Wayne's impact on the culture went beyond his own music. He was one of the first rappers to embrace auto-tune as a tool for experimentation, using it to bend and shape his voice in ways that were new and innovative. His use of the effect, starting with tracks like Lollipop, paved the way for a whole wave of artists who blurred the lines between rap and singing. Today, rappers like Future, Travis Scott, and Lil Uzi Vert owe a great deal to Wayne's trailblazing approach, which helped normalize the use of melodic flows and vocal manipulation in hip-hop. But Wayne's influence wasn't just about his sound, it was also about his style. He had always been unafraid to stand out, whether through his heavily tattooed body, his unique fashion sense, or his face piercings. In a genre that often prioritized toughness and conformity, Wayne's willingness to embrace individuality and express himself in unconventional ways helped break down barriers. He showed younger artists that it was okay to be different, to experiment with their looks, and to push back against traditional norms. While Wayne had established himself as a cultural icon, his personal life continued to be a mix of triumphs and challenges. His health struggles, particularly his seizures linked to lean consumption, remained a concern. Fans worried about his well-being, especially as the opioid crisis became more prominent in the public eye. However, Wayne's resilience in the face of adversity continued to inspire those who had followed his journey from the beginning. Despite his health challenges, Wayne never stopped creating, and his dedication to his craft became a key part of his legacy. In 2020, Wayne released Funeral, his 13th studio album, which debuted at No. 1 on the Billboard 200. While Funeral didn't have the same cultural impact as the Carter series, it still demonstrated Wayne's ability to stay relevant in an ever-changing music landscape. The album featured collaborations with younger artists like Lil Baby and XXXTentacion, showing that Wayne was still tapped into the current generation of rap while maintaining his own distinctive voice. Tracks like Mahogany and Mamma Mia highlighted Wayne's signature wordplay and relentless flow, reminding fans that even after all these years, he was still one of the best to ever do it. Wayne's ability to stay connected with the younger generation wasn't limited to music. His influence extended to the business side of the industry as well. Wayne's decision to mentor and develop artists like Drake and Nicki Minaj had already paid off in a big way, with both artists achieving unprecedented levels of success. But beyond his direct protégés, Wayne's entrepreneurial spirit had also inspired a whole wave of artists who wanted to follow in his footsteps, not just as musicians, but as business people. Wayne's success with Young Money Entertainment had set a template for other artists to launch their own labels and take control of their careers. In an era where streaming and social media were changing the music industry, Wayne's business savvy and foresight showed younger artists how to build their brands, cultivate loyal fan bases, and maintain creative control over their work. His willingness to embrace new technologies and business models helped pave the way for artists to become more independent, giving them the tools to succeed in an industry that had historically been dominated by major labels. By the mid-2020s, Wayne's legacy was not just about the music he had created, but about the countless artists he had influenced, both directly and indirectly. His style, sound, and work ethic had left a lasting mark on hip-hop, and his influence could be seen in the careers of artists across genres. Whether it was the melodic flows of Young Thug, the genre-blending experiments of Travis Scott, or the lyrical dexterity of Kendrick Lamar, Wayne's impact was undeniable. Despite his incredible achievements, Wayne remained humble about his success. In interviews, he often credited his fans for keeping him motivated and giving him the energy to continue creating. His relationship with his fan base was unique. Wayne had cultivated a sense of loyalty that few artists could match. His fans had grown up with him, watching him evolve from the youngest member of the Hot Boys to the greatest rapper alive. And they remained devoted to him through all of his ups and downs. Wayne's ability to connect with his audience on a personal level was a key part of his enduring appeal. He was never afraid to be vulnerable, whether it was through his lyrics or his public struggles with addiction and legal issues. This openness allowed his fans to see him as more than just a larger-than-life figure. It made him relatable, someone who had faced the same struggles and obstacles that many of them had. Wayne's honesty, combined with his incredible talent, made him one of the most beloved figures in hip-hop. As Wayne looks to the future, his legacy is already cemented as one of the greatest in hip-hop history. From his early days as a child prodigy in New Orleans to his reign at the top of the charts, Wayne has consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible in music. His influence on the next generation of artists is undeniable, and his contributions to the culture have left an indelible mark on the industry. But for Wayne, the journey isn't over. As he continues to evolve as an artist, entrepreneur, and mentor, it's clear that his story is far from finished. Wayne's hunger for greatness, combined with his ability to adapt and reinvent himself, ensures that he will remain a dominant force in hip-hop for years to come. And while his path hasn't always been easy, Wayne's resilience, creativity, and passion for his craft have made him an icon, someone who has truly earned his place among the greatest to ever do it.